Yo, what's up guys? Welcome back to another tutorial. Today we'll be talking about how to create Nurko style Screech leads and also how to layer them. Let's jump right into the preview. Alright, and these are the leads by itself. And also big shout out to my guy Chris from Culture Code. He's actually the one who showed me how to do all this, so all credit goes to him. I highly recommend for you to check them out and their tracks to make fucking bangers. And they also do coaching too, so definitely reach out if you're interested in taking coaching lessons with them. I'll leave all the links in the description below. So before we kind of get into the layers, I just kind of want to talk about like the basic foundation of how to layer your leads. And there's not just going to be one exact way on how to layer your leads each time. Layering your leads will depend on the context of your track. So for example, if you have a vocal chop, then you might not need 3 leads. But because this drop in particular doesn't have a vocal chop, then we have space in the mix, for example, to layer 3 leads rather than 2. So again, layering your leads just really depends on the context of your track and what elements you have in your drop. So basically for this lead layer, we have kind of like an airy lead. And then the next one is a very screechy lead. And then we have this one's kind of a lead to kind of give more movement in the layers. Kind of has like that wobbling LFO-ish kind of effect. And so for this case, the reason why the layers kind of work together is because this layer doesn't really have any like distorted high end on it. So it's going to blend really well with this one because this one has that distortion in it. And then this one blends in really well because it's really airy and kind of like in the back. See how they kind of like make one like really nice cohesive sound. And I'll just kind of play in context what would happen in the mix if we didn't have one of these layers playing. So I'm just going to solo the first screechy one first. And then you kind of like add that airy one in. And then you add this one in. And then let's just say, for example, we had the screechy one by itself. Yeah, so they're all basically just working together to make that like really full sounding type of drop. So yeah, let's go ahead and get into like the presets and stuff. So this one is one that Chris from Culture Code helped me make. I think he just found like I think he just found this in the Serum like presets or something, and then he did some modifications. But basically it's just 16 unison, really high on the detune or more on the detune, 10 unison, some MG low 12 cut off there. There was a sub originally, but Chris mentioned to turn that off, so we turned that off. And then there's also some like semitones that were like minus, and we just basically put it to 0. And then we have the effects here. A lot of this I'm actually not going to be able to explain exactly what it does because I don't even know exactly how to explain everything because there's some macros here. So I'll just kind of show you these effects, and then you can go ahead and copy them. Also, you'll get this whole entire like project file with the leads, probably just with the leads because the drop is not done. On my Patreon, so if you want to help support my Patreon and get the project file for this, feel free to. As always, I'll leave the link in the description below. But yeah, again, I'll just kind of show you what these are, and then you're just welcome to like copy it. So yeah, basically have a filter here, the EQ. This EQ is just boosting this area, and then reverb, which is probably macroed onto the matrix doing some type of automation or something. So yeah, we have a macro 1 to the release, looks like. And then decay, and then octave, looks like some volume automation. Sub oscillator, it's off, so that doesn't really matter too much for us. Filter cutoff, effects, noise level, and then unison detune, filter cutoff, and sub oscillator again. We also have a pitch bend here too, which I will show you what we're doing with the pitch bend. I think these were just default settings, so we didn't do anything here. In the silence we did though. And then yeah, with the EQ, basically just cutting out all the highs in this case. This is probably going to be completely up to you and personal preference. But something that Chris from Culture Code told me is that he's basically cutting out a lot of the highs now so he can make more room for the rides and the other high-end elements he has in his drops. So that's the reason why there's a hard, completely taking out the highs compared to like a shelf or something, for example. And then we're basically taking out the lows. Again, this is going to be all in context because sometimes you may want to do more and sometimes you may want to do less. Depends on the sound too, and also depends on the notes because sometimes when the notes are lower, there's going to be more rumble on the low end. So that's basically just going to be done in context of the track and everything. And that's basically what we did here. Like we basically just kind of, for example, like if this thing wasn't really built out, we might just have like the super saws and the bass, and then you would just kind of like, EQ the taste. And you probably want to like kind of like cut off some of that low end rather than putting it up here so you can make space for other elements in your drop. And then some standard OTT after, just fucking compressing the shit out of it basically at 92%. And then this Valhalla Shimmer actually adds to the sound a lot more to make it more airy. This is without the Valhalla Shimmer. And with it, makes a lot more in the back in the airy. Basically reverb mode is big stereo. I think the mix was just left at default, add some extra feedback and low cut quite up there to get rid of some of that low end. And then after pretty much OTTing it or compressing the shit out of it, it brought in some low end rumble again. So this is without the EQ again. And then with the EQ. So that's basically what that's doing. And again, we're kind of like cutting off that, lower end rumble again. And that's going to be really it for this area lead. And you don't even have to use Serum. You can also use other, VSTs like Nexus also has another nice one. Sounds like this. And I think this one's called Orchid Drops. And it's like, I think it's like originally a pluck, but then you can also change it to more like a sustained type of sound. So that's also another nice alternative to this sound if you want to try a different VST, for example. As long as you have like a very airy lead, you're good to go. It doesn't even have to be from a specific, VST. And next up, we have a Screech lead. And this is another preset that Chris sent to me and showed me how to do. Looks like there's some, there's a sine wave here at retrigger, 8 voices, no detune. And then there's +1 octave, which is probably just optional because this really depends where you want the notes in which octave. So completely optional there. And then we have sustain up all the way, some release there. And then on this side, we have +1 octave again, which again is optional, a square wave, lots on the detune. Looks like some of the stereo is a bit down compared to this one. Retrigger again. And then a lot of distortion, just cranking it. Some EQ, looks like we're boosting some of the bass frequencies, and then we're boosting some of the, looks like the higher end to around 600 hertz range. Then we just have some standard delay and reverb. And I don't even think this is even doing anything, looks like, because you'd have to move this, so this is probably not doing anything. And then it looks like we do have a little bit of phase here. It's like very, very subtle. Yeah, and then I was talking about the bend range. So at 12, and I'll show you later, we're just doing some pitch bending. In the MIDI, looks like there's some like portamento and the mono legato mode. And I don't think part B has anything. Yeah, 0 voices, so nothing there. And outside of silence, this is just the -12 pitch just to make it easier for when you like copy and paste the MIDIs over, because this one was a higher octave than this one, so just to make things a bit more efficient. And then we actually have another reverb, pretty standard, 20% around there, 2 to 3 seconds on decay, low cut again, and then we're doing a decapitator after the reverb so we can distort the reverb. And then we also have like a decapitator, just distorting the shit out of it, basically punishing it, doing this to taste, and that's really it. Looks like we minus some dBs too, so it's not going to be as loud. And then basically EQ to taste again, playing in context with your track, and then seeing how much you need to remove basically, and then a shelf And then another EQ, just kind of cleaning up the resonant frequencies. So this is kind of without the EQs here. So yeah, basically just taking out a lot of those harsh frequencies. All right, and then the last layer we have is basically that, again, moving lead. Again, this is what it sounds like. And this is basically I think a preset from the Culture Code sample pack that they made, I think probably some time ago. It's called Lead, Don't Fall Me Apart, or Don't Let Me Fall Apart. Looks like there's -1 octave here, not full volume. Some phase, no detune, 8 voices retrigger. Looks like there's actually +2 octaves for this one because there's 0 then +1. Not full volume again, saw wave, no detune, 8 voices, and retrigger. And then it looks like we have some pitch AB, which I'm not too sure is doing anything. It looks like probably not, since these are not adjusted. Some LFO1 gain, and then some pitch AB, which is actually going to be the thing that's making the sound move. Some mod wheel, cutoff AB. Part B is a square. Looks like 8 voices, retrigger, -1 on the octave, not full volume again, no detune, full sustain. And then it looks like we have distortion cranked up again, some chorus, EQ, reverb, and then a compressor. That's gonna be it in silence, I think. And then we have a decapitator, basically doing it to taste. Once again, and this is what it sounds like without the decapitator, and then with the decapitator, and then same thing with the EQ, doing it to taste, and then basically lowering it so we can get rid of some of those like muddy frequencies once again. And then on the midis, we basically just have some pitch bend automation on each of the notes. We basically just did one MIDI. This one is going to be a bit more aggressive, and then basically just around 500 for the next ones, and then basically just copy and paste the rest of the MIDIs, the same thing too. And the last thing I'd probably would do, it's gonna be a little hard because again, this drop is not exactly finished. It's better to do this in context when you have like everything else. But you could also do some more extra cleaning up if there is any more resonant frequencies. For example, like, you know, you might dip out some of the 1K frequency range using a dynamic EQ on the Fab filter, for example, or even Soothe 2. I can probably just do that in another video when I finish the drop. I think I'm not entirely too sure yet if I'll have a video on this drop once it's finished. But if I do a video on it, I'll definitely kind of like break down the dynamic EQs or just using the Soothe 2, so that way you can kind of clean up the mix and make it sound more clean. But yeah, guys, that's gonna be it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy the video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't yet. Hit the bell notification symbol so you know when my next video goes live. And also follow me on my social media channels. If you like this video, you'll definitely like my videos on my social media. They're just basically like shorter form video music production tips. And then also join the Discord server. I'm looking to create a community where we can all help each other grow, give each other feedback and stuff like that. So if that's something you're interested in, definitely join that as well. As always, I will leave the links in the description below. Thank you so much again for watching. Until next time, much love. Peace out.